I can, with a lot of confidence, say that he is 100% straight up lying. He's 100% just straight up outright lying when he says this. We're going to be going over a 15K point post on our Pokemon subreddit posted 2 days ago. Review after 45 hours of the game of Pokemon Sword and Shield, okay? I wanted to review this because there's some really god-awful shit in this review, but also some interesting points. And I just kind of wanted to go over... This is a highly upvoted post, so I feel like this reflects a lot of the feelings that a lot of people have about these games, right? I've played Pokemon Shield for 45 hours. I've completed the main story, the post-game, and have over 200 Pokemon caught in the Pokedex. I've played every main series Pokemon game since Gen 1, as well as most of the off-series games as well. I would consider Pokemon easily in my top 5 franchises of all time. So far, we're all on the same page, I think, right? Okay. Everything following is, of course, my personal opinion. I've marked late-game and post-game spoilers as well spoilers. Okay. I played through the game with the following self-imposed challenges. Nothing serious, but worth saying. This is really important to keep in mind, guys. He already went in with the mindset of self-imposing a challenge on himself, right? Okay, this is really important. He's going to do Pokeballs only, a fairy-type team, and no combat switching, the game setting. So playing on set mode, which is what we always do, right? Okay, this is really important. Okay. I'm going to be skimming over a few of these. We're going to be focusing on a few particular parts of the review, the wild area and the game balance. And then also some of like the Dynamax and shit that he talks about, or that they talk about. While the setting of the theme of the game was done well, the first glaring problem is Hop and Leon. The introduction did not need to be as lengthy as it was and could easily have been achieved the same success with setting the theme if Hop and Leon had not interrupted the gameplay every 2 minutes. True. My fiance actually turned the game off towards the end of the introduction, near where you are given the opportunity to take the train to the wild area, because she could not cope with their constant intrusions, stopping her from playing. Her reactions went from "this kid again" to actually throwing her head back in frustration. This is what people are introduced to the game with, and it's insulting. You are given an option to select "I know about Pokemon" when you acquire the Pokedex, which does nothing to curb the near constant interruption to your gameplay to tell you how strong Leon is and how much Hop is going to be the next champion. The excuse of their being helpful isn't accurate. They could be helpful with 1/4 of their dialogue. This is easily one of the most frustrating parts of the game in terms of story progression. While this is 100% true, and I felt the same way, just like any other Pokemon game, I feel like every other Pokemon game is mostly like this, except for maybe like Gen 1. Every Pokemon game that I play has like a shit ton of like early game interruptions. Like Gen 7 was like this. Gen 4, Gen 5, Gen 6 were all like this, right? This is pretty standard. That's not necessarily an excuse, but it's just putting it into context, right? Gen 2 wasn't. I don't know, dude. Gen 2 has you going back and forth a lot and talking to a lot of shitty random NPCs that nobody gives a fuck about, but okay. Honestly, as someone who's started the game 3 times now, and 2 of which playthroughs I just try to get through it as quickly as possible, you can mash through this early game part pretty fucking quickly. I think he's exaggerating this problem a little bit, but I see his point. The starters. I've never before in any Pokemon game prior been less excited by the starters. I had seen all 3 final evolutions before I made my choice and can confidently say that I was not inspired by any of them. I mean, this is obviously super subjective. I think Inteleon is a really cool design. I like Cinderace to some degree. I think it's okay. But yeah, it's obviously subjective, right? The game continues the trend among members of having your rival choose the starter that is weak to the one that you pick, which was disappointing. I don't know how I feel about this. You can balance this out with other harder rivals, which I feel like this game kind of did. Like the beat fights were actually kind of challenging. It's also a way of just teaching you about type matchups in like a rewarding way, which I like. I think I generally like the design decision on that. He switches his team around a lot and stuff. I don't know. I don't believe it would be difficult now to implement a choice on the player's behalf. I think if they do this, if they give him a weak starter, the easiest way to do it is to do what like Gen 4 or Gen 1 do, where no matter which starter you pick, he always has a fire, water, and grass Pokemon, so he always has a Pokemon that's super effective against your starter. I think that would be cool. I so badly, the wild area, 9 out of 10. I so badly wanted to give this a 10 out of 10, but I would be lying if I said this area comes without faults. Oh man, this part of the review, I think I'm going to disagree with a lot. But oh boy, I had a spectacular time in the wild area. Now, I don't want to take away from his experience from having a spectacular time in the wild area. I am glad that he did. I don't know. Okay. It really felt like what an open world should feel like, with powerful Pokemon running around in many different areas all accessible together. Maybe it's because I spent so much time grinding there and I spent so much time with my bike there, but the fucking wild area feels so fucking tiny to me now. I don't know, man. It feels really repetitive and tiny, and like I don't really give a fuck about it, but I'm glad people are enjoying it. I found myself generally disappointed with all the regular routes because I felt they could easily have just been replaced by more wild areas. I agree with this, actually. This would have been really cool. This would have added to like more openness. Felt awesome and scary when seeing a Pokemon that I knew was way too high for me to encounter, when my Pokemon were only in their level 20s. I encountered a level 60 Gengar and could not have used a Pokédoll faster. I genuinely loved just roaming the wilds, catching many different types of Pokemon. This is actually a really cool experience in Nuzlocke too. Randomly running into those encounters is really, really crazy, and super scary. It never felt tedious. I was doing what I wanted to do at my own pace, setting up camp instead of going back to town, see below, and just overall have a wonderful time. You know, I'm glad he did. I disagree with it a little bit. I think it feels pretty repetitive, and at some point I just don't want to, like, I just want to avoid Pokemon. It's like Doug Trio and Red and Blue. I think the experience of running into... I think they could have expanded on this concept more and made the wild Pokemon even more aggressive. Like, when you whistle at them, they, like, start charging at you. I wish that the higher level Pokemon just, like, did that. Like, they popped up and they just fucking ran at you. I think that would be really, really entertaining. So I kind of wish they would have went harder on that aspect and maybe even not given you Pokedolls to deal with it. I think it would, but, like, I'm obviously, like, a challenge runner, so it's different. We'll go into that more tomorrow, though. Of course, I did say that I couldn't give the area a 10 out of 10. The weather across the wild areas is jarring. From intense sun to pouring rain in two areas next to each other, putting aside that it doesn't make sense at all, it makes hunting down specific Pokemon that only spawn specific areas in specific weather conditions a nightmare, unless you're willing to adjust your Switch's clock. I'm a firm believer that in-game problems should not be solved by out-of-game means. I agree with this, yeah. I don't have the experience that I need to hunt for a specific Pokemon ever, so I can't really give a lot of insight, but that sounds really, really horrible, and I don't like it. The weather in the game really is jarring. Going from like a hailstorm to a sandstorm is really dumb. It might be raining now, but come back in an hour and it'll have stopped. Or give players a means of changing that weather in-game, even if it's a late-game item. Have a Pokemon use sunny day in the area turn sunny for the remainder of the hour. Yeah, that's like a really clean solution. I agree with this. The game... Okay, this is the big one, boys. This is the big one. Here we go. This is what I want to focus on with this talk, okay? The game balance. So he gives this game balance a 0 out of 10. Not a 1 out of 10. Not a 2 out of 10. A 0. 0 out of 10. He must have some really strong points here. Let's see. So this is the part of the game I had the most issue with. The most glaring issue, beyond any other issue for me, is the inability to turn XP share off. The game becomes mind-numbingly easy after not long at all. I did 0 grinding, just spent time in the wild area enjoying myself, as was clearly intended, and had a full team of level 35 Pokemon before the first gym. Okay. So I've spent a considerable amount of time in the wild area, specifically doing grinding for my Nuzlocks. I spent a lot of time, okay? I can, with a lot of confidence, especially regarding what he says later, with a lot of confidence say that he is 100% straight up lying. He's 100% just straight up outright lying when he says this. And that really fucking like discredits the rest. That really discredits the rest of his fucking post. Like, holy shit. Like, not only is he lying, this sentence is also like internally like it's just contradictory, right? I did 0 grinding, just spent time in the wild area enjoying myself as a clear intended, and had a full team of level 35. Like, at some point, when your full team gets to like level 20, do you not realize what's going on? So you're constantly catching Pokemon, is what you're telling me. He says down below, by the way, that he wasn't using XP candies. Just saying. And you just watch your team grow to level 35, and you're like, oh yeah, this is totally fine. I'm sure the game is supposed to be played like this. I don't have a first gym badge or anything, but oh, here they go, level 30. Even if we assume that this statement is true, which it is 100% not, I would love to see someone grind in the wild area for less than 5 hours without using XP candies and get a full team of level 35 before the first gym. I'm so fucking curious to see that, because nobody will get that. I was encountering very strong looking Pokemon that were 10 plus levels my junior. Just to make sure it's clear, I did not pump all of the XP candies gotten from raid battles into one Pokemon. My full team was level 35 plus. He literally grinded. How long did he spend in the fucking wild area? It's a good thing that almost every single late game battle is made of a steel type Pokemon, or at least Pokemon with steel type moves, because they at least provide a bunch of. There is no way that you spend less than fucking like 7 hours of gameplay in the fucking wild area, which I don't know how you do that, because it really does get boring, I promise. I'm right now doing a Wooloo solo run of the game, a deathless Wooloo solo run, where I specifically try to pump a lot of XP into it, do like all the raid battles and pump all of my XP candy into it. I was like, was I level 25 at the first gym or something? And I specifically did my best to grind it. Like, I don't understand. Not only that, but there's another thing here that bothers me. He says there's an issue with the inability to turn the XP share off. I don't understand what the difference is between turning your XP share off and just boxing the Pokemon that you don't want to gain XP with the mobile box that they give you. You don't even have to run back to the Poke Center. I genuinely don't understand what the difference is between these two mechanics. Maybe someone in the YouTube comments can explain this to me. I don't understand it. If you don't want to get a Pokemon to gain XP, then you don't use it. That's how it always works in other Pokemon games, right? So if you don't want to use it, just box it. Yeah, he also, apparently he was in this wild area catching tons of Pokemon and never changed around his team. Like, I don't understand. Yeah, what was he doing when he was level 30 plus? It's not like you can catch like level 20 Pokemon. I guess he did use XP candies, he just didn't pump them all into one, but that's still like highly doubtable. I don't know, how much time did he fucking spend? Now, raids are insane for grinding. I agree, they're like one of the best grinding methods we've ever got. They're like 100% on par with auto grinding, probably even better than that, right? I can say that from my like Nuzlocke experience, and we'll talk about that more tomorrow. But holy shit, there is no way he spent a reasonable amount of time in the wild area and got his full team of Pokemon at level 35. And he just watched that happen and was like, oh yeah, there's no problem with this. I wonder, I'm going to be able to use all my Pokemon if needed. For that to be possible without over-leveling all of them, the XP share needs to be able to be turned off. I guess I kind of see your point. Like, you want to lead with one Pokemon, and then you want to be able to sometimes switch into your higher level Pokemon, but you don't want them to get more experience, I guess. But that's very far off from what he's talking about, where his entire team was level 35 with the first gym. I don't know. Like, you could easily prevent that by just boxing your fucking Pokemon while you're in the wild area, and then putting them back on. Like, it's not that many trainers before the first gym. Like, I don't know. Yeah, he must have like gone through raids resetting over and over and over again, doing raids over and over. I don't know, man. Jesus Christ. Most concerning, however, was that I found myself not using my team. My Pokemon became so strong passively that I did not have to use more than one. I agree with this, that this is a problem with the XP share. Again, you can box your Pokemon if you really don't want them to gain XP, but then you don't have the option of using them anymore, which feeds back into this problem. I actually noticed this during my first attempt of my Nuzlocke, that my Sobble, or its evolution, was just passively gaining XP, and I was never using it, but it was always like the highest level Pokemon. But like, again, this motherfucker grinded for like 7 hours at the start of the game, and he at this point, after this sentence, he loses all credibility to talk about any game balancing issues whatsoever, right? Like, it's not actually as bad as he's talking about here. Like, obviously, if you grind your whole team to level 35, you're not going to use like your full team, right? My Pokemon became so strong passively that I did not have to use them. When I realized this, I began forcing myself to change up my Pokemon, but it's purely my decision to do that. I never needed to. Like, I don't understand the sentence, because at the beginning he says he's doing a self-imposed challenge, right? To make the game more enjoyable for him. So he's already admitting that the game is more enjoyable, and now he's complaining about the fact that he needs to do certain stuff to make the game more enjoyable for him. Like, he wants the game to force, but like, he's already accepted this from other Pokemon games, that you like have to do a challenge run to make it more enjoyable, right? I feel like this is super contradictory. This entire section is just a huge mess, dude. Like, I don't understand. There was a time for about 15 levels where I realized I had not used one of my team at all. I know this because I had an Imp evolved into a Morgrim and eventually into a Grimmsnarl. I not once sent out my Morgrim. You know, I understand that this can feel like bad. But if you're so desperate about using the Imp, just fucking use it. Like, I don't understand. If you really want to use it that badly, like, it's not that hard, right? I don't know. I don't see this as too big of a problem. I prefer the XP system in this game. Being able to turn off the XP share would be kind of nice. It would alleviate some of this. But at the same time, like, okay, so let's imagine a situation where he could turn off the XP share, right? So if he can turn off the XP share, would he have used the Imp more? Or would he have used it less because it never would have leveled with the rest of his team? So he would have like gone out and grinded it so it would catch up with the rest of the team so he could actually use it with it. Like, that's the alternative how it is in other Pokemon games, right? Like, I don't know. I don't actually know what its animations are like. I realized when it evolved in Grimmsnarl that I completely missed that stage of its evolution. It actually made me sad. Like, again, if you're so keen on using it, why didn't you just fucking use it? Because the alternative is that you just would have grinded it up. Yeah, it's also exactly what happens when you get the XP share in other games. You just put it on a Pokemon and just like have it passively gain XP, right? I don't know. This is like all of these weak points together feeding into a 0 out of 10 on game balance seems so fucking stupid. I just don't understand it. It's also pretty clear that balance between the wild area and the rest of the games was not considered. The wild area balances itself. You move from zone to zone within the wild area and encounter new Pokemon. The spicy higher level Pokemon in the earlier zones become manageable as you level up, and you feel like there's a really strong sense of progression to the game. I felt rewarding and exciting moving into new areas, and I couldn't survive before. To then go to the first gym after grinding for like 7 hours, and your whole team grew to level 35 while you just sat back and watched, by the way. After that was so deflating. Why are gym battles not scaled now? They've never been scaled. Is there any RPGs where the fucking enemies level scale with you? What the fuck is the point of a level progression system if you just have everyone scale with you? What the fuck? What the fuck is the point of progressing your fucking Pokemon if you're just gonna scale it? That's so fucking stupid. Like, holy shit. Like, he grinded for 7 hours and then complained that he wasn't facing like other level 35. Of course not. What the fuck? There needs to be some progression in the game to understand that your Pokemon have grown in level and expertise, right? And in power. Like, you need to be able to feel that progression. That's the whole point of a leveling system. People are saying like Diablo 3 and stuff, but Diablo 3 doesn't have a clear like your Pokemon reaches this level and it'll reach this stage. There's a finite of 3 stages. There's no infinite progression in Pokemon. There's an endpoint that you reach, right? Like if you have a fucking Cinderace before the first gym, your progression with that Pokemon is done. It's finished. There's no more progression. You maybe learn one more move and that's it. Probably not even with the Cinderace, right? I don't understand. It seems really unfun, but okay. The game even made it clear that all the gym leaders have more. Also, with scaling gym leaders, I feel like you eliminate another side of it, which is like, what if you're underleveled for a gym? What if you didn't like the wild area and just ran in? Because when I was playing my first Nuzlocke, I was underleveled a lot. When I got to Bea for the first time, I was super underleveled. Does she scale with my level now as well? And I'm no longer underleveled, and it's no longer a challenge? I don't know, dude. Okay. The gym challenge is meant to be aimed at whatever skill level the individual... Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I skipped over like a section. The game could detect what your highest level Pokemon is and scale the gym leader's level to match. Like, the game even made it clear that all the gym leaders have more Pokemon than they used, each at a much higher level than the gym challenge, considering they're battled again in the finals tournament. The gym challenge is meant to be aimed at whatever skill level the individual trainer is at, after all. Yeah, but the point of the whole gym challenge is that, like, the first gym leader is really easy, right? Everyone can go past him, and then it goes on and on and on. This is, like, very heavily implied in the story when Kabu's like, oh, not a lot of trainers get past me. That's a good job. That's like a stepping stone, right? The whole point is that they progress in level. Yeah. They're supposed to be increasing in difficulty. That's the whole point. That's why they're in a set order. I really like that about this game. Okay. So this whole section completely, I feel like, invalidates the rest of this guy's post because he's a fucking idiot. And a liar. Or maybe he's just a liar and just wants to pander to the already existing, like, he just wants to bash, like, find a reason to bash on the games because he knows he's going to get upvotes for it. It's either that or he's stupid and a liar. He's either just a liar or he's stupid and a liar. I don't know which is worse. Okay. Anyway. Then he has some edits. He talks one more time about the balance shit, and we can go over that one more time. Pokemon team levels. My team reached 35 plus before the first gym because I went through the wild area for many hours. How many hours, dude? How many hours can you go through without being fucking bored? Like, holy shit, you must have gone through for like... I actually want to see this. I want to see someone... I don't really have the time to do this, and I think the onus is on him for providing the proof, but, like, I want to see someone go through the wild area before the first gym and actually try to get a level team of 35s plus as fast as humanly possible. Like, 100%. I want to... Because he's lying. He's just lying. Like, 100... And he's doubling down on his lies. And it bothers me so much. Like, even if you use raid, even if you just spam raid battles, I think it would take 4-5 hours. I left the wild area when I could no longer catch new Pokemon there, either because I had caught all the ones in an area, or I couldn't because they were too high. This is how I've always played Pokemon. Wait, so I left the wild area when I could no longer catch new Pokemon there, either because I had caught all the ones in the area. Jesus Christ. I don't think even that gets you to level 35, dude. Like, I don't understand. His team is like 6 different fairy types. Yeah, I don't know. So I've always played Pokemon. I was personally enjoying doing. I personally consider grinding to be going out of my way to specifically raise my Pokemon's levels. At no point did I play that with that specific intention. I simply played out of the wild area as much as I liked. I of course understand that having a team of 35 plus is absurd before the first gym. I conclude the point of reaching 35 plus is a point that I personally consider it too easy to level in the game. It is very easy to level in this game. We're currently experiencing this with my Wooloo run. I agree. It is very, 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 very easy to level in this game, specifically with max raids. Very specifically with max raids, by the way. I did not use these Pokemon exclusively throughout my journey, swapping some for others as they became available. This was especially true for my fairy type playthrough because not all fairy types are available in the starting wild area zones. This led me into my next point. So he was switching out? I don't know, dude. I don't know why you would just like make up this lie and then like double down on it in your edit. And not just say, like, okay, I made this shit up and I exaggerated. Seems really dumb. Because of the exclusive use of fairy types, it meant that who I could swap into my team was limited. Therefore, individual Pokemon ended up getting more XP than usual. However, when I acquired new Pokemon, I loved using them and absolutely did not take time out of my adventure to go level them up to match them to the rest. I took on Nessa, the second gym leader, with a Rabombi I'd caught not long before, who was at similar level to Nessa's Pokemon. Yeah, and that's fucking awesome. The fact that I like fight a level 20 gym leader, I go into the next grass and it's level 20, that's fucking sick. I don't have to raise that shit like individually. It's fucking awesome. I agree. Hell yeah, that's awesome. Most fairy-type Pokemon are not even available before Glimwood Tangle, meaning that for the 5th badge I was using Pokemon that were freshly caught and were appropriate level for the challenge, if not slightly under-leveled. I did not go back into the wild area to train these Pokemon at any stage. Oh, it sounds like you actually did it right, and you should have enjoyed the game's balance. It's really weird that you gave it a 0 out of 10 then, if you're like specifically saying that you caught a Pokemon and you were able to immediately use it. That's fucking awesome, right? You didn't have to go back and grind it, and you can just use whatever you wanted. Isn't that fucking sick? So why'd you give it a 0 out of 10? This did not make the game harder, however, so that did not make the game harder than going through with level 35 at the first gym. Okay. Now, rate the balance overall, what I did with this in mind. If anything, this upset me even more as these freshly caught Pokemon quickly caught up and even surpassed my opponents, even with freshly caught Pokemon. I just don't think this is true, man. Like, in my Nuzlocke, in my 2 Nuzlocke attempts, one of which died at the champion, one of which won, I don't understand, like, how this is true, because I was like constantly underleveled. Do you guys remember? I had to go out of my way and grind. Yeah, when I got to Bea, I was underleveled. I'm pretty sure when I got to Gordy, I was underleveled. I don't get it. I still stomped through the remainder of the gym challenge and post game. I'll concede that perhaps my rating of balance overall was harsh. Yeah, no shit. And that is not dysfunctional overall, as some people have pointed out. I'm not going to change my original rating, but will say here that considering the game does still function and some poor balance does exist, I would rate it a 3 out of 10. I said in my final thoughts earlier that I didn't want to rate my own disappointment, but my disappointment did affect the original rating. Without my disappointment, I feel 3 out of 10 is more fair. I will say that in my opinion, I should not have to deliberately try to keep my team weak. An overwhelming amount... There's a difference between deliberately trying to keep your team weak and fucking grinding for 14 hours in the wild area to get your team to level 35 plus before the fucking first gym. Holy shit. An overwhelming amount of comments said that it was my fault that I overleveled. Yeah, it was. You literally sat there for hours in the wild area and watched your Pokemon go from level 15 to 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, all the way to 30, all the way to 35, and you didn't do anything about it. That's 100% your fault, dude. What the fuck? To me, that feels like saying it's my fault for playing that game. That I should be punished for have a lesser experience. Just fucking box the Pokemon when you see it go to level 20. Holy shit. Do not expect the game to be Dark Souls. However, I also don't expect that I can just spam A and look away from the TV, but know that I will one-shot my way through the Elite Four's Pokemon no matter what. This is definitely not what happens. I don't care about the rest of this post. It's fucking stupid. This guy's an idiot. Nobody cares. Shut the fuck up. This is Reddit in a nutshell, dude. Fuck this. 15,000 upvotes for this dumbass shit. I can't believe it, dude.